Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man. Refocus. Refocus on me, please. Yes. Oh, man. I recorded the whole video without audio. Anyway. I'm gonna review the games. I'm gonna go in depth of draft. This is gonna be more like thoughts and recollection of what happened. We're gonna go into draft. We're going to go into discussions about the games and so forth in the videos that I will release at a later date when I review the games. All in all, G2 Draft Kingdom. G2 Draft Kingdom out the wazoo. It was absolutely crazy how well they drafted, how well they played. This was some of the best League of Legends I've seen in a long, long time. They played disciplined, they played patient, you fought for the right timings, were willing to give up when they needed to give up. It didn't matter if someone Sensi is behind there or something else. They had the champions that would do the work for them in most cases. And the story of G2's playoffs run was that it was so clouded by the fact that they lost to Mad Lions. But I think the Mad Lions defeat, even with G2 being at their worst, managed to make it look close. And all in all, I felt like G2 didn't prepare properly for Mad Lions. And ever since then, it felt like they really took the time with each opponent. It did something incredible today. Super incredible in the sense that winning back-to-back best of fives when the opponent gets to watch you come back the next day and show a complete different level and a complete different preparation just makes it super crazy. I was talking about how difficult it is to adapt to a player like Bwipo, and I was saying that Wunder needs to pull a rabbit out of his hat in order to do it, because Wunder historically is the type of player that always adapts to his opponent. And he delivered. He played the Zac better than Bwipo did. And he played the Ornn better than Bwipo did. And what more can you ask? He solo killed enemy Zac 2 times and did super well. I think, it was big top gap. Big draft gap. I think also, jungle. In this type of game, jungle is not like super crazy. It's all about just being at the right place at the right time. So I think, this is not a game that Selfmade or Jankos is going to make or break because they're both, good players. And Perks delivered big time. The Azir looking early. He was first laning against the Veigar, then the Kassadin, which is, prior to contrary belief, it's quite a lane that gives Azir a lot of freedom. Veigar is not a hard counter to Azir. It's more about the fact that you get to play a Veigar and you are relatively safe and free to scale, and if Veigar is super good against the rest of the enemy champions, then it's worthy to pick it. I wouldn't say it's some kind of hard counter, but of course, the cage does create some difficulties for Azir, but Azir doesn't care too much about Glacial Augment. He can always get away. There are champions that struggle harder against Veigar's abilities than Azir, because Azir is so hard long range and he also has a dash. I understand that, of course, Veigar can cancel dash, but I wouldn't say it's some kind of hard counter. Veigar, when he scales good into the enemy champions, can be a decent pick, but once again, it's not a hard counter. Same thing with Kassadin. Kassadin was in a very problematic position in the game too, because honestly, he just, when is he better than Azir in this game? When is he better against the enemy composition? The enemy composition was scaling so well, and the early game is completely down the dumpster because of both Veigar and Kassadin and Tahm.Kench 2 games. So that was super crazy to me. Draft difference, wounded difference, and then the support technology. Fnatic is a team that I think relies heavily on the fact that Hylissang needs to play engage and Bwipo play engage, and then they need to have lanes to play around early in order to, transition pressure around the map, because they are very good at snowballing. But I think their drafts left them in positions today where they couldn't do just that. If you look at their games in regular season, Tahm.Kench and Aphelios, they were struggling those games when they're playing Tahm.Kench and Aphelios. G2 story, the amount of improvement we've seen over the past 2 or 3 weeks, however you want to view it, is really insane. And they've just reminded us why G2 is so goddamn good. Caps delivered on another new champion, and at this point in time, I don't know if he's the AD carry that played the most amount of champions, but he's just adding more and more to that pool. Vayne, Kalista, Kog'Maw, what can't Caps play? And I think he really shut up all the doubters. I think against Mad Lions, he did indeed play garbage. Let's not pretend he didn't. But for the majority of the season, he played quite decently, which is shocking because people were up in arms because Caps was like third All-Star top AD carry. I think he was played phenomenal in the early weeks. He was really insane. Second half of the split, he was also really insane. It was just that little drop off when Misfits happened and he died 7 times or whatever happened against Danny Kraken. But this is the key thing, you know. Froskuren put it so nicely. She said, the greatest trick that Mad Lions managed to pull was to convince everyone that G2 doesn't exist, which is just perfect to me because, you know, Mad Lions beat G2. G2 played very poorly. Big wake-up call. They spoke about it too. They bounced back. Perkz is the type of player, in my opinion, you know, from hearing him speak, this is all, you know, speculation. From hearing him speak about how he views the game, I feel like the occasion really sets the tone for what kind of a Perkz we will have. And I think today Perkz played super well. I think he did some occasional mistakes there. Maybe didn't need to flash to kill the Veigar that had no flash. If he did the combo properly, I don't remember. I'm saying that, but it's just something that might not even be true because I don't have the replay right in front of me. So, you know, it's hard to complain about Perkz' performance. Corki, what do you want to do with Corki? Corki just farm and pick up a tier and you relax, right? But on all, yeah, I feel so goddamn stupid because I recorded a 30-minute video without audio. It wasn't that I had the audio, I was just talking. I unplugged my microphone and replugged it, so Streamlabs just didn't recognize it. That was just wild. Yeah, it's just Fnatic definitely underperformed. Definitely underperformed. I think they also got heavily outdrafted. I don't know if they performed better if it would have changed too much because G2 were very precise in their play. I think game 3, G2 gave some breathing room to Fnatic because they took fights that weren't really necessary, especially on bottom side. All of the responsibility to force was in Fnatic's hands. And when the mid matchup is Azir Corki, Azir gives you prio against Corki, especially when he buys tier, so that is like a tiny bit of an advantage, but Azir's not going to roam too much, and then the bottom 3v3 with the Braum lock-in isn't as explosive as you want to be, and I think, you know, the composition of red side with the Trundle and the Janna and so forth can easily, you know, survive any aggression that you want to do because top side was over. Ornn got 2 solo kills, and there is no way a jungler is going to ever impact it. Sorry for looking over at the left screen. I'm taking a look at C9 every now and then versus FlyQuest, and it's very addicting. I'm going to tab it out. Out of the respect for this video, but a part of me is annoyed because I recorded this whole big deal. I was in my costume, I was wearing my shirt that lays over there right now, and it was quite funny, but I'm going to leave it up, man. It's hilarious because I read the memes on the video. It's like, oh, Yamato sound is as absent as Fnatic was in this series. But I really want to celebrate how good G2 played. Fnatic definitely dropped the ball. You know, we're talking about how much G2 dropped the ball against Mad Lions. We have to talk about how much Fnatic dropped the ball in today's series. And I think G2's analysis of Fnatic was on point. Fnatic is a team that wants to play heavy engage, good at transitioning pressure and creating dive situations, and are very good at forcing fights, draft a better teamfight composition because this is how Fnatic win most of the games. And then, honestly, G2 maybe mind-controlled Fnatic into picking Tam and Veigar to make sure that they have no early game potential at all. Like, this was a composition they got away with against Misfits, you know. But this was a Misfits that was on the downwards trend, and Misfits had a composition that didn't scale as good as what we saw from, of course, G2 today. So G2, wow. They deserve a lot of props. A lot of props, man. Going from the loser bracket, which is something that I never thought would be possible. A team coming back from loser bracket. I really want to hammer at home how difficult it is to prepare so well for 2 best of 5s. G2 did it phenomenally well. Imagine G2 got to see Fnatic play another best of 5 and they got to play coming into the next day. Maybe, you know, if Fnatic stomped Mad Lions, it wouldn't matter too much. But all in all, it's something worthy to point out. The only thing that makes me sad now is that honestly, the odds of MSI happening is like my own guess. This is not any information or anything. My own personal guess is that it's not going to happen in the current climate of things. And I think this form of G2 is a team that could definitely win MSI again, and that would be hype. That would be very, very hype. And keep in mind, this is a G2 that have explicitly said that they are taking a more lenient approach to Spring Split. And this is how good they are. And wow, they definitely put us all in their place again. I predicted Fnatic on the analyst desk. I made a cheeky, I had a dream tweet. But I thought it would be closer. But I guess it was in the writing. I'm looking at what I could have done in order to foresee this. And I was very torn. Honestly, today when I made my prediction, I was very torn. But it felt wrong to talk about so many strengths of Fnatic and how they performed all the way up into the final and predict against them, you know, just because of magic. G2 definitely got better series after series, and when they play against Fnatic, it is something that invokes something special in some of their players. And I think it showed today. And G2 also reminded us that in terms of preparation, they are God tier. Not something that we saw in the Mad Lions series, not something that was necessary in the OG series, not something that, you know, they had some good moments in OG series, good moments as well, preparation-wise against Mad Lions the second time around, but not at this level. Maybe I am comparing the levels in a wrong way because Fnatic also really, really fucked up the draft, if we're gonna be honest. But yeah. G2 split has been super, super interesting. This whole split has been interesting, and I don't know what's gonna happen to Fnatic now, you know? I think after that first game, you definitely have to pull the plug on YamatoCannon. You have to pull the plug on mid laners that can't hang around. I think third game adaptation was a step in the right direction. But the Braum pick, I don't know, so tough to pick support there, honestly, when enemy is committing to last picking support. So to me, you know, in terms of impact, just because of how good the draft was, that's why I think Mickey and Wunder to me are the MVPs. Mickey and Wunder are the MVPs because of the players they are in the draft, the value they give in the draft. Wunder willing to play anything just to make sure that the draft is as good as possible. Mickey the same thing. I don't know how much Lulu and Jana practice. I saw on Twitter he was thanking Promiscue for matchup practice on bottom, which is cool. But all in all, that's it. We're going to review the games. We're going to review the C9 FlyQuest games as well. That's it for today. Just a little video just before the day ends. FlyQuest and C9 is on now. I wish you all the best. Sorry once again for no audio. I just screwed up. I screwed up, and I'm going to go in depth about the games when it happens. Maybe tomorrow or something like that. AMA is going to be recorded one day later, so it means that it's not going to be released tomorrow. AMA is going to be released on Tuesday, and then tomorrow we will most likely do G2 review versus Fnatic. It's not like it's going to take long because the series was very short. Jesus, it's just brutal, absolutely brutal. It was crazy. It was like so many things. The Fnatic, they just reeked of desperation, and they just looked like ghosts of themselves. And then the question is, if you know, the big question is, if every other team is just a myth. You know, we've been talking about the level of Europe and how good it is, but maybe every other team besides G2 Fnatic is, as we've always been saying, just a myth. And Fnatic stomping Mad Lions, stomping Origin is just irrelevant because Fnatic showcased that they are very, very good at snowballing, but they couldn't beat G2 in the regular season. And some of the games, you know, for especially the first one in the regular season, looked very similar to what the playoffs games looked like. And then game 2, the steal, the Olaf stealing, maybe even with that Nashor they don't end, because the enemy team composition still, with time, it becomes inevitable that they're going to outscale. So these are the type of series that get me excited for the World Championship. They really do. And G2, wow, what an impressive series. This is definitely one to remember. And Fnatic will have to bounce back somehow. Because G2 walk away from these playoffs still instilling the fear in everyone that it is inevitable that they're going to win. I don't think G2 is going to look worse than they did against Mad Lions in that first series ever again in this alteration. Maybe in a best of 1, but not in a best of 5. No way. This was the opportunity, and it couldn't be seized because G2, their fortitude and their ability to recognize their problems is just immaculate. I really, really want to celebrate that improvement, because that was rocket speed. Big question was always G2, when they lose their first best of 5, how are they going to deal with it? And they dealt with it perfectly. Freaking perfectly. That's exciting. Anyway, that's enough for this video. All the best. Sorry again for the audio. If you sneeze during this video, bless you and bless your face. Cheerios.